And we're live. Coaches. Blow the whistle, ay. Blow the whistle, ay. Blow the whistle, they can't hold a flame against you, ay. Blow the whistle, ay. Blow the whistle, ay. Blow the whistle, got the game, it ain't no issue, yeah. Blowing the whistle, I had enough with you, the championship, it is gone. Ain't listen to you, I can't give it to you, cause you don't know what I've been on. This is the Coaches Podcast.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back into the Fantasy Coaches Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Coach Steve. We got a full crew with us today, guys, as we talk Dynasty Buys for the quarterback and running back positions. We'll give some players, whether they're buy lows, buy highs, something in between there. We'll give you guys our reasons of why some of these players are those buys, and we might give you a few trade scenarios as well to kind of help you guys in your Dynasty League. So let's introduce the crew. As always, Coach Jibs, what is going on, brother?
Hey, man, what's going on? Doing pretty well. Still reeling it in from a couple of weeks ago. But I'm here to talk some running backs, some Dynasty talk with my fellows and Dan today. I'm looking forward to it. Let's get it on, guys.
Oh yeah, you were too heartbroken to jump on podcast.
Nah, dude, I didn't want to talk football. I didn't want to see ESPN. My phone, if it wasn't like work related, like I just like literally turned off notifications for everything. Like I didn't want to see nothing. Chiefs, no content, Bleachers Report done, deleted off my phone.
Believe me, I probably would have felt the same way. So, Coach John, brother, what's going on? Happy late birthday, my guy. What's going on?
Thank you. Appreciate it. Nothing. I'm excited to talk running backs. It's kind of everyone's favorite off-season topic. So today should be a great show. I love it. So I'm excited.
Love to hear that. Love to hear it. Glad to have you back here on the show. And of course, Dan, my friend, you were on a few weeks ago. We were talking some Senior Bowl stuff. What's going on? Welcome back.
Thanks for having me, guys. Always excited to join this crew. Talking it up. Dynasty season it's the thick of it, you know. Mm-hmm. We're doing rookie evaluations. We gotta look at our rosters, see who we're buying, see who we're selling. Got a great topic today. I'm excited to talk some quarterbacks, some running backs. So it should be a good show. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. So before we do get to that, though, we do have a little bit of news to talk about. If I can find where my mouse is here, there it is. Not too much to talk about because we'll eventually mention these when the time comes, but I just want to throw it out there as well so you guys know if you're living under a rock or don't actively look at your notifications about sorts. So Derek Carr got released, obviously, by the Las Vegas Raiders. They did not want to pay him that big bonus he was supposed to get on February 15th. Now he's out there doing what he wants as a free agent. We'll talk more about Derek Carr once he eventually signs with a team. Aaron Jones agrees to a new deal with the Packers to avoid being cut. So that's pretty big. Obviously, probably hurts those A.J. Dillon owners who are hoping that maybe 2023 would be his year. Alvin Kamara indicted at a grand jury for that incident that happened in the Pro Bowl, I think, last year. So that's not great. We'll find out more about that. Seems like he's going to be suspended, which everyone feared about going into this entire season. So we'll have to wait to see about that. And Isaiah Hodgins re-signed with the Giants on that one-year deal that they can offer him. Does anyone want to mention anything on the news in particular?
No.
Not too crazy yet, obviously. But if anyone wants to mention anything, so you can say.
I think. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, one thing that's interesting is obviously Derek Carr's been released, and the early reports are the Saints are kind of the leader in the clubhouse for him. This will tie into some of my buys a little bit later, but the Saints salary cap situation is just crazy, as it is every year. Mickey Loomis is a master of kicking the can down the road. Right now, they have negative $46 million in cap space. This is if Mickey Loomis finds a way to sign Derek Carr, like give him the gold jacket and just put him in the Hall of Fame already. The guy's just a mastermind. We're running the books. So obviously Carr visited and there was talks about the trade before the release, but I'll be very interested to see how that possibly can work out where he's making some sort of money while playing for the Saints.
Love it. Anyone else?
Like on my way home, I saw like a report like the Jets and Derek Carr were kind of like pretty hot. So like I wouldn't be surprised
I
if he
did see
goes
that
there
too.
as
He did
well.
visit them over the weekend, if I'm not mistaken. So
Uh-huh.
that
And
will
he's
be interesting. I
betting
kind of hope he signs
favorites
there.
too, minus 300. So there's something up if Vegas got him that
Yeah.
hot on there.
I hope he signs there because I don't think Derek Carr is that great of a quarterback. But personal opinion on him. So I'd love to see him go to the Jets, just more to the Jets' sorrows at the QB position. I saw a lot of things, Lamar Jackson potentially being traded to the Falcons. I saw a report that there's a potential Tua Lamar Jackson swap. I mean, we'll see. Free agency is coming very soon, and all the tags and everything else. Next month is going to be a lot of fun, obviously, for free agencies and player transactions. So we'll get into that there. But let's get into the nitty gritty of why we're here, guys. We're talking dynasty buys for the quarterback and running back positions. So we will start at the top. Dan, since you're our guest, you get first dibs, and I know you have two because you asked me if what scoring set, what lineup setting, and I said do both. Why not? So you have two quarterbacks, so I'll let you go first on your quarterbacks.
Yeah. So for Superflex, this guy you wouldn't even buy in one quarterback leagues. It's not worth the bench spot. But I don't think enough people are talking about the fact that Kyler Murray is not going to be ready for Week 1. I don't know why that just gets brushed aside that he will be good to go, but I don't see. Like based on the timeline of his injury, players who have had that injury before, I don't think he's going to be ready for Week 1. I think it's going to be closer to the midway point of the season. And currently, Colt McCoy is the backup in Arizona. I don't know what their plan is for the year with a brand new front office, a brand new coaching staff, their quarterback that they just extended missing half the year. I don't know what the ownership group there even expects out of this roster. The only thing we know right now, though, is if we were playing football next week, it'd be Colt McCoy under center for the Arizona Cardinals. Now, in one quarterback, that doesn't move the needle for me because quarterbacks are, cheaper in a one quarterback league. However, in Superflex, if I can get a potential 6-week starter as my quarterback 3 for a very cheap price right now, that's a move that should be made because the closer we get to the combine and the draft and into training camp, this story about Kyler missing time and Colt McCoy being the guy is only going to gain more and more traction. Steve, I know you asked us to kind of find some possible trades. I did use the Dynasty Nerds trade browser. It's a feature you get as part of the Dynasty GM package, which if you guys want 15% off, just use promo code Luna. That'll get you 15% off of a Nerd Herds subscription. Steve doesn't have a code, so don't even ask him.
Yeah, I might have a code.
So a quick browse. I found a couple of trades where Colt McCoy was going for a 24 fourth, which
Just give it.
And then even God, check your waivers. He might even be out there in some of your leagues. So I think for either a free pickup or for that cost, it's a move you should go out and make just to, as we see when we get into the season in Superflex leagues, quarterbacks go so fast. This year, we actually set a record for the number of quarterbacks who started games during an NFL season. And I expect that just to continue with the way the 18-game schedule works and all that stuff.
No, I like that call there, honestly, because I found him on waivers in a couple of my leagues, and I'm like, he's the only guy under contract. Murray's not going to start the season, so he's got to play. The only thing that does not concern me at all, but the potential of a guy like the Eagles defensive coordinator got tired there, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Gannon.
Yeah, maybe a guy like Gardner Minshew goes there for the year, knowing that maybe he can play a full 16 games or half the season, get more of an opportunity. Maybe that's the only thing I can think of. But if not, why really bring in anyone else? You have a franchise quarterback. You're just waiting for him to get healthy. That's why you have Colt McCoy. Let him play the 6 to 8 games that Murray needs to be out for, and just let it go from there. So just rebuild your defense. So I do like that one. And then you have one for one quarterback league. Is that right?
Yeah. So for one quarterback leagues, my buy this offseason is Trevor Lawrence. This is definitely a buy high situation, but I was actually thinking about it on my ride back from work today. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow. Those 3 names. think real fast. What would it take for you to trade those players away if you had them on your roster?
Probably a lot.
A lot.
Or even they're just untradeable, you know? Like if I have a Josh Allen, which I do in a couple of dynasty leagues, I don't care what you're offering me. I don't want to go back to looking for that next Josh Allen when I can ride that guy for the next 10 plus seasons. You know, it's going to be hard to find an owner who's going to move off of one of those 3 quarterbacks. I believe Trevor Lawrence is going to enter that tier this time next year. I think he is set up for his 3rd season to be, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he would finish as a top 5 quarterback next year. They have Calvin Ridley will be added to the roster. They have a competent coaching staff, obviously, with Doug Peterson and his crew. And they're just ready to take off. You know, they made the playoffs this year. They beat the Chargers. If you look at Trevor Lawrence after his bye week last year, that was week 11, his finishes are quarterback 5, quarterback 16, quarterback 1, quarterback 5, quarterback 10. And then the last 2 games were like quarterback 32 and 21. He missed some of those games. But I think we could be sitting here a year from now and talking about Trevor Lawrence in that tier of players. And I have a strong suspicion that he will finish as a top 3 fantasy quarterback in the 2023 season. So this could be your last chance to go out and get him. I did, look real fast for some Trevor Lawrence type trades. It was hard to find anything with him just being the only asset you're acquiring. It was a lot of package deals. One deal, for example, I found was Trevor Lawrence for the package of Daniel Jones, 24 first, 24 second, 23 second. If that's something I can do to upgrade from a Daniel Jones to a Trevor Lawrence, I'm going to be doing that in a heartbeat. So I think now is the last chance to go get Trevor Lawrence. And if you have any interest, you should start talking about trades as soon as possible in the league.
No, I love that one there a lot. I mean, in general, even in Superflex, I'd love to have Trevor Lawrence if I can right now. I feel like he's rising up. Calvin Ridley joining on board, them probably adding some kind of other weapon potentially to the team. It's definitely going to be good seasons ahead for a guy like Trevor Lawrence. He's obviously progressed a lot over his 2 seasons in the league, and obviously he showed a big jump late into the season in 22. So love both those picks there, Dan. So, all right, who's on the board next? Who wants to go next? John, you look ready to go, my friend.
Yeah.
Give us your quarterback buy.
So my quarterback buy, I'm going to go. I always try and think of like super flex when I'm buying quarterbacks. Like single quarterback, it would have to be like a top 5 guy, like a Trevor Lawrence, like a big name like that. So this angle was a little bit more of like super flex. Who's someone I can go out and get on the cheap, but use, and I know I'm going to have a valuable player going into next season. And that player to me is Daniel Jones. I think you can buy Daniel Jones pretty cheap right now. I don't think anyone is in the dynasty community in long-term outlook is high on Daniel Jones. I don't think any of that, but I think he did enough to prove to Daboll and enough to the Giants that like, we got to give him another shot. Like we got to surround him with some talent. We got to fix this roster a little and see what we got because he played well enough. He's not lighting the world on fire, but they have enough issues in other places that I think they're not going to address the quarterback position this year. So, you can go out, get Daniel Jones as your quarterback too for relatively inexpensive. Trade away some 2nd round picks and, add some depth. Maybe you can convince someone that a Mac Jones is better than Daniel Jones and, try and flip kind of pieces like that, whatever. Like you can kind of work your way around. But I think that there is a world where Daniel Jones is very usable next year and no one really wants him. No one, because he does, in the same breath, I don't think he has like long-term value. He's not Trevor Lawrence that you're going to plug and play for the next 10 years. But I think in a 1-season vacuum, you're trying to just get a guy this off season. You're struggling at quarterback. You need someone to help kind of bridge you. I think Daniel Jones will be a great bridge for next season.
Well, I had him as a nice sell on last week's show. So
you could go either way with Daniel Jones. Like, let's be honest.
I disagree with you on everything. But in terms of like the trades, I was looking at the trades here, and again, a lot of these trades favor someone really wanting to buy into Daniel Jones, and I feel like you can buy him if you can get him for cheap, but don't overspend. So what would you give up? Would you give up a 2023 second round pick and Brock Purdy to get Daniel Jones on your team as your QB2?
Probably not and Brock Purdy, but I would definitely give up
And Superflex.
In Superflex?
Yeah.
Yeah, I probably would actually. Yeah, because Brock Purdy, I mean, there's rumors that he's getting Tommy John surgery, which is, I mean, your quarterback could be, your career could be struggling if you have Tommy John surgery.
That'll be 18 months recovery.
Yeah, so yeah, I guess I probably would do it
2025.
Yeah, I would do it then.
Okay. Let me see if I can find one more. Would you, let's say you had the 1-5. Say you had the 1-5, and you could give up the 1-5 and the 2024 second for the 1-9 and Daniel Jones. Would you do it? Would you drop down 4 spots from the 1-5 and give a 2024 second and pick up Daniel Jones in the process?
No, only because I think you could get someone a little bit better than Daniel Jones. I think if I'm going to do that, I probably would target like a Russ Wilson. I would target someone who's you can still buy kind of low on, but has a little bit more ceiling, a little bit more potential. That's just kind of how I would. I just don't know. Moving back and giving up a second for Daniel Jones is it's close, a little pricey. I just think you can get more for that.
Okay. I like it. I don't like it, but I like that you like it, John. So
I appreciate you.
Of course. Coach Gibbs, my friend, give us your quarterback buy that you want right now.
Mine is also Trevor Lawrence, so I'll give like an alternative. I believe like if you could go for a quarterback like with like some kind of dark cloud under him, like Tua, like the buy opportunity for Tua could be right now. Like he's still going to come back. We're expecting him to come back, but obviously you don't want to have the injury history. But a sneaky player I want to get would be Russell Wilson. Like Sean Payton has been dedication to offense, and I believe he could get him back on track with Jerry Jeudy, with Courtland Sutton, Javonte Williams be coming back next year. So I think like he could be obtained. Like I don't have a Dynasty Nerd subscription. I might have to use that 15% promo, but I looked at Fantasy Pros trade chart and like he's going for like a late first round pick in a super flex league, like a bottom third top 12 pick. I think I'll kind of like shoot the bullet on that, get Russell Wilson on my team, and kind of just hope that Sean Payton could turn it around. So like I know like it's not like the best thing coming off what he had this year, but like I wouldn't be opposed to it if I need a decent QB 2-3 on my team.
Oh, okay. I don't hate it at all. All right, I have some trades here because I do have the Dynasty DM. Would you give up 2 second round picks, one in this year's draft and one in next year's draft for Russell Wilson?
Yeah, I don't see why not. Super flexy.
Would you, if you're really in the market for a quarterback and maybe you don't have a first round pick to grab one of these guys in this draft, would you give up DJ Moore for Russell Wilson? No. Okay. Okay. Someone did that in one of these things here. So would you give up George Pickens right now for Russell Wilson?
Hey, if I needed that quarterback, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate it, honestly. I mean, I like Pickens, but like, there's obviously a quarterback situation still brewing there in Pittsburgh. So, I mean, if you're really desperate for a quarterback, then yeah, hopefully we're hoping that Russell kind of bounces back. That's I'm sure everyone here is thinking that we hope that Russell bounces back because there's so many fantasy goodness in Denver if the quarterback situation just gets back on track. So I don't hate it. So I don't hate it at all. So. All right.
Now, let me ask you guys a question real fast because you brought up Daniel Jones a couple times. I saw a report today that his agent is looking for $45 million in that range. Yep. And then obviously the Giants have Saquon Barkley to decide upon. Do you guys have any what are your thoughts on how that situation is going to play out with the Giants with both those players potentially hitting free agency this year?
So it's funny. I think the smart move would be to franchise Saquon if he comes and plays on that franchise tag, which, I don't know. That's a good question for Saquon Barkley. and then you figure out the Daniel Jones contract. He's not worth $45 million, like at all. You gotta Daniel, you gotta come down a little bit. You gotta come down a little bit for us. But I think that's kind of, if you're gonna, I think that's where you're gonna be able to kind of work the market a little bit more. I think Saquon, if you're gonna extend him, he's gonna ask for, whatever. I mean, I'm not that he's going to
16 a year, probably.
Yeah, he's going to ask for good money for a running back, which we've all kind of seen can backfire pretty quickly for a franchise and all that. So if you're being smart, you franchise Saquon and then you try and figure out maybe a 2-year thing with Daniel Jones and or 2-3 years with the last year being a void year and you try and figure out something like that. But if he's coming to the table at $45 million a year, I'd tell Daniel Jones to take a hike. And that's coming from someone who kind of likes Daniel Jones. I think he's a serviceable quarterback, and $45 million a year, I'd be laughing at him in the conference room.
Like from what I heard, it's like Barkley wants like 14, 15. Giants are willing to give him 12, which is right there. That's the stir right there. And the funny thing, like if Daniel Jones wants $45 million, why doesn't he take the franchise tag? Because that's pretty much $45 million.
Yeah, that's true.
That's kind of how I feel on it. I mean, if you think of it like this, who's most likely to get like bum hurt from getting franchise tag? Saquon or Daniel Jones? Probably Saquon.
Yeah, probably.
Saquon knows that this is his next big contract. This is it. Probably it for him. He doesn't want to get franchised. He doesn't want to deal with that situation at all. I feel like you have to tag Daniel Jones and then say, all right, Daniel, we'll work on getting you a contract extension. You're our guy, but we need more time to figure out how this contract's going to go. You're going to get paid a lot of money this year, and we'll figure out how we're going to get you extended moving forward, and then focus on Saquon. I feel like Saquon will give the Giants more time because I think he does want to come back, and if they can make it work, he's more willing to sit around. I mean, if someone gives Daniel Jones, like the $42 million a year, I don't know what team's going to do that right now, but a team might. Yeah. And Daniel Jones, like, if I'm going to get that, I'm just going to go. Like, why not? Why don't I not just go get paid?
Do you think the Giants front office wants more time to evaluate him?
Probably. I think they need more time. I mean,
I personally think he's going to get tagged. I don't think it's a financial move to tag. I think the move is we don't know if we want to offer you all that money and that long-term deal. We need bigger sample size on what you're doing. Because he had a great year this year, but Carson Wentz had an MVP season. Look what happened to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, spent a lot of money for no reason. So
off-season moves matter.
Yeah,
declined that 50 years.
I mean, he had 15 touchdowns on the season. That's like, come on, like, how do you feel comfortable giving a franchise quarterback that much?
Vanilla Vic.
Vanilla Vic out there. Oh God! All right, so let me get to my quarterback buy real quick, and it's Sam Howell. Now, everyone in the world will be telling you to sell Sam Howell now, and I get it. Obviously, we don't know for sure that he's going to be the starting guy. I mean, they said it, but you don't know what's going to happen this season. But I'm a firm believer in Sam Howell. He was my QB1 in this class. He didn't end up going there in terms of where everyone landed, unfortunately. But I like what I saw out of Sam Howell a lot. I think that 2021 season in his college year really made him look bad to a lot of teams into why he fell. But I gave him excuses that he lost his entire offensive core in one year, and then you have a whole whole offseason basically to get back on track with a whole bunch of new young people who are 17 or 18, 19 years old. There has to be more there. You have to give this guy more credit. I think that what we saw out of one game, 169 yards and a touchdown, 35 yards rushing. He was very mobile. He showed he can be mobile. I'm looking to trade for him now before the price does spike. And that's because I'm thinking that he is going to take a step forward. It might not be the Pat Mahomes second year where he just jumps up to being this elite star quarterback, but I feel like more of that Tua range where if Tua was healthy, you're getting a really productive season and a bright future for a young quarterback. He has the weapons around him. He's got McLaurin, he's got Curtis, he's got Dotson, he's got a good running back quarterback there. There's no reason why Sam Howell can't succeed there. And you bring in Eric Bellamy, who is a fantastic offensive coordinator who helped Pat Mahomes grow as a quarterback over his time there. I mean, this is the time to buy now on a guy who has major potential. I mean, people say they're selling for a second-round pick. Like, what's the second-round pick going to get you? I mean, is it really going to get you something amazing for giving up Sam Howell? Maybe. Sam Howell could just not verse start and you get a second round pick. Great. But on the other side of it, I mean, if you give up just a second round pick to get a guy who has top 10 potential, if things work out, I'm willing to buy that now. I mean, he's going for the most recent trade. You're giving up a 2023 second and then getting back Sam Howell in a 2023 third. I'm definitely doing that. There's ones for just a 2023 third. I'm definitely doing that. I mean, there's trades out there. I mean, Dave Montgomery, give me Sam Howell right now. I'm okay giving off to Dave Montgomery. 100% right now. If I could find another one, like I would, if I had Brock Purdy and someone believes in Brock Purdy, I'd give up Brock Purdy for Sam Howell right now. I don't know if I'd do a 2023 first. That might be pushing it for me. Obviously, I don't know if I can pull the trigger on that yet, but anywhere in the second round, almost, besides maybe the first and second pick, I'm willing to give up to get Sam Howell right now because I think there's a lot of talent there to believe in. My rant's over now, guys. Thanks.
I ain't mad at you. You gotta find those gems before they appear.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's a good buy because I don't think Washington is in a position to upgrade at the quarterback position. Whether it's such a weird offseason because there are so many mid-tier, lower tier names available. You know, like even guys that we haven't even seen this year, like, you know, Gardner Minshew can be out there. Jimmy Garoppolo, obviously, when he comes back. And and then Jameis Winston, Andy Dalton. Nobody's talking about those guys. And they're going to wind up on a roster somewhere. But I think Sam Howell and then everything you see coming out of the front office and the coaching staff is like, we're looking forward to rolling with Sam next year, yada, yada, yada. So the other thing to think about is, does Ron Rivera make it past next season in Washington if they don't have a successful year? No. And do you know who will be the head coach of the Washington Commanders in 2024 if that happens?
Good old Eric
Bieniemy. A lot of people are
saying,
telling
you, Jibs, we were talking about that.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying, like, why is he going from offensive coordinator on the Chiefs to offensive coordinator on the Commanders? That's a lateral move, or if anything, it's a slight downgrade. I'm like, because the man sees the writing on the wall that this is, you know, I take this year as an offensive coordinator. I am in as the guy for the head coaching spot, you know, unless Brian Flores winds up there in 2024.
Imagine, I mean, if he can get the offense going, but the defense struggles, that's Ron Rivera right there. Ron Rivera's out then. Bring in Eric. He made this offense look good. Just need to find someone to handle the defensive coordinator position.
And there's also plenty of talent around him, you know, exactly. Jahan Dotson, Terry McLaurin, Antonio Gibson, Brian Robinson, however you feel about him.
Right. Definitely. We'll see. I mean, I'm buying. I'm trying to buy him, but people aren't giving me what I want for him. But it's what it is. So, all right, let's get over to the running backs now. Let's get this thing going. Dan, we'll let you start with the first running back. Who you got?
All right. So we opened the show talking about the New Orleans Saints and their salary cap situation. So I'm going to give a quiz for the room. If Alvin Kamara is somehow cut, released, or traded, who here knows who the starting running back on the roster for the Saints is right now?
Hopefully not Mark Ingram, but Tony Jones? No, he doesn't play for him.
No, Dwayne Washington?
Eno Benjamin.
No.
Right, he is
what?
Yes. So
what a steal.
So if something happens to Kamara, Eno Benjamin will be the star of the show, whatever show it is that we're talking about. And now, as luck would have it, I mean, there's a theme with my buys. These guys are all bottom of the barrel, dirt cheap. Colt McCoy, Eno Benjamin. I got another one that's a little bit more expensive after this. But Eno Benjamin is the type of player where, one, you're going to check first to see if he's on waivers. Two, you have to figure out what owner has him. That guy might not even remember that he has Eno Benjamin on his roster. As we discussed, the Saints are facing salary cap hell. And then, so this is something I should mention before we talk about the running back buys overall. The running back market in this offseason is going to be so interesting to keep track of because you have the perfect storm combination of it's a very loaded free agent running back class with the likes of Miles Sanders, Josh Jacobs, David Montgomery, potentially Saquon Barkley, just to name the big guys, combined with a very deep running back draft class. I've been watching film and doing studies, and there are at least 10 running backs that I would draft in 2023 as a franchise to have as my starting running back on my NFL roster. Mm-hmm. So it'd be very interesting to see, like, do front offices and GMs see that and fade the veteran free agents in a money-saving move? It's going to be very interesting to see when players sign, how much they sign, and where they sign for. But all we know right now is who's being a free agent and who is going to be locked onto a roster. And for now, Eno Benjamin is locked onto that Saints roster. We talked about they're $46 million over the cap. They hope to sign Derek Carr with some magical monopoly money. And on top of that, they have how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 defensive starters hitting free agency this year. So signing Derek Carr, signing 6 defensive starters, where is there any money for a new running back? None. And now the only thing that's going to just derail this train is when they draft the Alvin Kamara 2.0 clone that is Jahmyr Gibbs. So my recommendation,
can't imagine,
buy Eno Benjamin now for dirt cheap. Kamara gets cut. They sign Derek Carr. They restructure a bunch of things. They have no money. The week before the draft, you flip Eno Benjamin for a second. Done. This is not a move that I'm riding into the season. This is just to acquire better draft capital going into my rookie draft, because I'm very confident that the Saints will draft someone in the 3rd or 4th round that will come in to compete with Eno Benjamin for touches. This is something that people don't really talk about a lot with Dynasty. A lot of buys are like, I need this guy to fill out my RB2 spot on my roster in September. What people should really be taking advantage is I should be buying this guy that is practically free and then flipping him a month later for a draft capital pick that I can use to acquire some depth, or a wide receiver 3 for my roster at some point. So it's little moves like that that's going to take your Dynasty team from mid-tier to top of the pack in your league.
That is very true. And I think it's a good time. It is a good time because he's going to be dirt cheap. I mean, I've seen some interesting ones. There's a lot of Eno Benjamin and Zeke Elliott trades.
Okay. Yeah. What was up with that? I saw that like 3 times. And like, is there?
I think they might have been like a trade and they swapped it back. Maybe. I don't know. That's
it's probably because the commissioner came in was like, I need to reverse this. We can't let this.
Yeah, this is crazy.
But I mean, Eno
Listen, I know Zeke's old, but he's not that old.
2020. Would you do a 2023 third, 2024 third for Eno Benjamin right now, or does it have to be a 4th for you?
I would do a 24 third for Eno Benjamin.
Okay.
Especially because that pick is so far out. I can reacquire a 24 third.
Cool.
Then at any point.
The best way to think about it. He also might be just on your waiver. So
yeah,
we'll have to wait and see on that. So
free 99. We love that.
Yeah, love that. All right, Jibs, I'm gonna let you go first this time, and then John goes last. So what you got from us, Jibs?
I'll stick with the Jaguars theme. I'll definitely want to pay high for Travis Etienne. I'm just like ecstatic with this prospects of having the starting gig for the whole season. First and foremost, like everyone mentioned before, like he's gonna be another year with like what he had right now with Christian Kirk and Zay Jones. They're gonna throw Calvin really in the mix. Hopefully they can retain Evan Ingram, but I think they probably could get another tight end and kind of do work there. So I think like given that he finished QB8 last year, like that was a stellar season for him, but I think the ceiling's untapped. So I think given like their offensive potential, Travis Etienne could be a guy who could be, I think he finished like RB 15 or so, but I think he could be within that top 12. And in Dynasty, like he's a young guy. We're starting to see some of like our old faithful heroes like the Ecklers, the Cooks, the Henrys of the world. They're starting to be Zeke, for instance. They're about to be like phased out. So like you kind of want to get these young studs, and I think like he's worth every dollar, and I'll pay a pretty penny for him.
Yeah, no, I don't hate that one. I mean, I think it was his rookie year. Let's not forget that. I mean, there's potential for him he flashed a good amount. I wanted to see a little bit more, but he did flash enough. I think that he's probably going to be the starter, obviously, next year, no doubt. They could end up bringing somebody else in, maybe in like a rookie or something like that, but he should see the starting job. Now, let me see what I have on the trades here. Would you give up, let's say, a late 1st round pick and Khalil Herbert for Travis Etienne?
Peace. Yep.
You would. Or what about if it was like the 1-5 and Khalil Herbert for Travis Etienne? You're looking at
Probably
the
not. I'm more.
quarterbacks, top 2 RBs in that range.
No, sir. Like
Okay.
I'm like willing to like give up. I'll say like a pick like 7, 8, like the
Okay.
highest. But like I'm not gonna be dabbling in like a top 5 pick, super flex, or like losing the top 2 running backs. I know the wide receivers are kind of booty cheeks. You don't want to get into none of them
I like it. Okay.
that early, at least.
No, I respect it. There's not a lot too many trades here. I mean, that I see that are like fair, honestly. These trades are pretty bad. I mean,
Getting robbed.
would you give up a 2nd round pick and Jerry Jeudy for Travis Etienne? That might be pretty easy.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of good ones for Travis Etienne right now. So, but no, I mean, it's a good pick for sure. I mean, it's definitely a good time to buy because, the second season for running backs, it's still there to be a top 10 potential for him. So, and you'll have the starting job for the whole year. That's what we're hoping for, as long as he doesn't obviously get hurt. So, I like it. I won't say any more about injuries. I apologize. All right, John, you're up, my friend. Give us your first RB.
All right. The first RB is we got to play a little kind of math game here. So the first RB is Brian Robinson. I think you can buy in on Brian Robinson right now. And the major reason isn't because I love Brian Robinson. I think he's a solid running back. I think he's good on a mediocre offense. It's fine. You get Eric Bieniemy. That always helps. That's a big one. But also Antonio Gibson, I think, is a very strong cut candidate. He's owed $3 million this year. If they cut him, it's $2.7 million that they save. So he is almost a free cut. If they keep him around, great. The only thing is they're not like the Saints where they're up against the cap. They got plenty of space. So maybe they do keep him. I mean, $3 million is pretty cheap for Antonio Gibson, but there's a world where maybe they move on and they cut him and something like that happens. And Brian Robinson has the job to himself. They were force feeding the ball to Brian Robinson even when, you had Antonio Gibson in the mix. So if there's, worst case scenario, Antonio Gibson's back, you paid for Brian Robinson and you get a low end RB2, whatever. There is the chance Antonio Gibson's gone and you have yourself a very volume, solid, week in, week out starter who's going to have the job to himself. Think, James Robinson a couple years ago when he was on the Jags, that kind of, I don't know if he'll be that efficient or that, finish in the top 5, but he'll have plenty of work. He'll have 300 touches. And so in sometimes in these dynasty situations, you want to look at those guys that all it takes is one cut or one move and they're vaulted right, like the Benjamin vaulted right into the starter. Brian Robinson has a little bit more of a name to him, so you're going to pay more, but I still think it's worth taking that risk. I'm buying in. I'm buying in this offseason to Brian Robinson.
Yeah, I know I bought in very heavily on Brian Robinson, literally all up until before the season started. Obviously, slightly disappointing on how his season went, but I'm going to obviously give him a pass. The man went through a lot this year, so I'm hoping with a nice start season.
He was shocked.
I don't want to bring it up and talk about it. I feel bad. I don't know. He was shot. Yes, that's the key. I don't want to talk about his personal life like that too much, but I'm hoping with obviously a full healthy offseason that he will take another step in it because I did like him a lot. I don't know I think Antonio, unfortunately, Terry Gibson will be there because he is a rookie still, and on that rookie contract, I don't know if they'll just kind of cut him or unless it's a lot of money that's coming off.
It's not a lot. It's not a lot, but it could happen. There's potential. It could happen.
So let me ask you some questions here. All right, would you trade away Hollywood Brown for Brian Robinson?
Yeah, I probably would. Yeah, which is crazy to say because we don't know what the status of Kyler to start. Who knows what that team looks like in 2 years? I'm okay with that.
Okay, let's see. Someone traded a 2024 for fourth.
Yeah, I would hand deliver that pick to whoever wanted it.
What about a 2024 first for Brian Robinson?
That's a bit of a stretch. I'm 2024. No, I guess at 24 I probably would, because you don't know where your pick is if it's beginning and like it's just kind of a little ambiguous. when you're 2 years out, a first round pick is just kind of, in my opinion, not that it's invaluable, but it's not as valuable as like when I know I'm going to be the 104. I know I'm going to be when you don't know is a little more ambiguity. Yeah, I guess I'd probably do it.
All right. Okay. I feel like you're a little bit hesitant on it, but what about a 2025 first?
Yeah, 2025 first. I'm sure I'll send that. I might not even be alive, so
I'll send
that pic. Yeah, send that pic.
You sound like Kyle Shanahan saying that.
Yeah.
Oh god, we're getting real dark on this episode tonight, guys. Oh god.
Yeah, I apologize.
Okay, I guess your birthday must have really put your life into perspective.
Yeah, I had my midlife crisis already on my birthday, and I'm like, I'm on the back nine now.
Oh god, we don't want to be there just yet. All right, so that one, it's my turn, right? I kind of forgot. Sometimes hosting, I'm like kind of forget. Like, oh yeah, you have to make your players too. All right, so let me just pull my thing in here, and it's Chuba Hubbard. That's gonna be my guy here. Chuba Hubbard, obviously, a really inefficient rookie year, but this season, obviously, the first half wasn't so. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey was there, and then in the second half, obviously, we all loved Deontay Foreman because he was just eating things up. But Chuba, he looked better in the second half of the season. Obviously, he ran better than Deontay Foreman did, and obviously ran much better than his rookie season here. And he obviously seemed like they were pass catching back at times this past season here, especially all in the second half of the season here. And he played actually some fantasy worthy games in that back 8 games. And looking at this offseason here, this team is going through a whole new change. Again, Frank Wright's there now. I don't know if they bring back Deontay Foreman because he was on a 1-year contract. They could. I don't know if they do though. It will be, if they do, they'd have to do it early. If they don't, I don't think they're going to go that direction. I would assume that Frank Wright wants to get young at that position, get someone young in there. I don't think they're going to spend a lot of money at the RB position because there's other positions in this team that needs to be filled, aka obviously the quarterback position here. So I think Chuba Hubbard has a chance to be the starting guy this coming season pretty early. And I don't think it's going to cost you much to get him because I don't think anyone's like, oh, Chuba Hubbard. Yeah, like I got to have a guy like Chuba Hubbard on my team right now. And I don't think you're going to have to give up the farm to get a running back that has starting caliber, high-end, low-end RB2 value right now. I mean, 2025 second-round pick for Chuba Hubbard is like nothing. If we're going to get more technical here, if you give up Evan Ingram for Chuba Hubbard, and as long as you have another tight end, I would consider doing that. I mean, I don't see why I wouldn't. I think he has value there. Trying to find other trades that actually make sense. Darnell Mooney for Chuba Hubbard. That may be pushing it a little bit still. I still like Darnell Mooney a lot. But if like a guy like Elijah Mitchell and for Chuba Hubbard, I would consider doing that to some extent because I think Christian McCaffrey is going to be good, healthy to play. I don't think Elijah Mitchell is a running back that's going to be able to play 16 games ever again. He just gets hurt too much, for my opinion. But I think Chuba Hubbard has a chance here still. Again, there's not a lot of great trades on here, unfortunately, for Hubbard. There's some really bad ones. But, like Devin Singletary. I don't think Devin Singletary goes back to Buffalo. I think Chuba Hubbard for Devin Singletary, maybe plus, get you something. And I think no one's worrying about Chuba Hubbard right now. And I think he has a good shot for the starting job for a team that I don't think will invest at least this offseason in the running back position here because he's under contract for another 2 years. He's going to his 3rd year. And I like what I was able to see enough out of him to keep him on my team. So he is someone I'm looking to buy low on right now in fantasy. I don't know how you guys feel about Chuba Hubbard, but
I do. I liked it. I loved him as a prospect. Super electric, when he was in college. So you always kind of like those kind of guys that can break a big play every once in a while. And I don't think they bring back Deontay Foreman. He doesn't bring anything to special teams. He doesn't bring anything really other than carrying the ball. So you can replace that pretty easily. We just talked about how many free agents there's going to be.
Even rookies.
Even rookie, yeah. I mean, Deontay Foreman is such a no, like, don't even think about it piece. It's like I can't imagine them, sitting around the table, banging their fist, being like, "We got to sign him." It's
plus a whole new regime. They're not tied to him at all. I mean, they're not tied to Hubbard either. But I just don't see them. Their first impactfulness is like, got to get that RB on the team. It's got to get a quarterback. Got to get some other wide receivers. Got to rebuild some of that defense that needs to get rebuilt. So. That's how I see it. So, all right, we're back up the top now, guys. Dan, you're back up, my friend. What do you got for us?
All right, my second running back buy is going to be Kenneth Gainwell, actually, running back for the Philadelphia Eagles. So we talked previously about the potential free agents this year, and Miles Sanders is one of them. He'll be hitting free agency. We talked about the New Orleans Saints and how many players on the defensive side of the ball they have to re-sign. The Philadelphia Eagles, a lot of people are saying how they are such a loaded roster. They're so well-rounded. That's why a lot of people are mocking Bijan Robinson there in the first round. Either they have the 10th pick and they have the 31st, 30th pick, depending on which mock draft site is handling the Miami Dolphins situation. They need to backfill the defense. They have a lot of players hitting free agency on the defense. They got, Fletcher Cox, Robert Quinn, Brandon Graham, Javon Hargrave. That's their entire defensive line hitting free agency. So just like I mentioned with the Saints not having the money to use on bringing in a veteran running back, I think the Philadelphia Eagles are in a very similar situation. I think the difference between my Benjamin buy and my Kenneth Gainwell buy is Kenneth Gainwell is good at football. He's a good football player. You watch him out there with the ball and he looks great, and you're like, why isn't he getting more touches? Versus Miles Sanders, and the team loves him. There was who was it? Sirianni had like the Kenny Gainwell shirt. Did you guys see that?
Yeah.
No.
Last offseason, that started the hype train in August for all of us. But I just think that Philadelphia is going to look at that running back room. They're going to probably invest a day 3 pick, bring somebody in. If I had to guess, they would probably be bringing in someone like, I don't know, Cameron Peoples or like an Eric Ray, kind of like a bruiser type running back that's going to, get in there in like inside zone type stuff. And then Kenneth Gainwell is going to be your pass catching option. And as we all know from fantasy football, the pass catching running back is the running back we want on our team. And then just to further bring up the money situation, Jalen Hurts is going to receive a new contract this year. He is going to receive over $50 million a year. That money won't hit until 2024. However, they have to start accounting for that cap hit when it comes. So just another point that signing a veteran running back is not going to be a move for the Philadelphia Eagles this year. I looked real quick to see if there was any like reasonable Kenneth Gainwell offers on the trade browser. Most recent one was Kenneth Gainwell for a 23 second, which I would say is probably about fair market value for him right now. 2023 second in a super flex league is about where I would peg Kenneth Gainwell's value. There's another trade offer for 2/3, which depending on where the seconds and thirds fall, they could be almost equivalent. Besides that, he was just a throw-in piece on a lot of larger deals. And that's something that dynasty managers should take advantage of, is if you are talking with another owner about a trade, a player like an Benjamin, like a Kenneth Gainwell, they could be like that last throw-in piece. Like, you guys are so close to being even on like trading quarterbacks or tight ends or wide receivers. You just be like, hey, can you just throw in Kenneth Gainwell just to make it a little bit more even? And if they're that close to completing a trade, they might just do it without even giving it a second thought. So I know I mentioned before, Benjamin was a player that I would like buy now and sell in a month to try to increase my draft capital for this year's rookie draft. Gainwell is the type of player that I am buying now and looking forward to putting him into my RB2 slot week 1 of the 2023 NFL season.
I know Jibbs is hyped for that.
Oh, yeah.
He's listening and loving the whole thing.
I was like contemplating like on our car ride this morning. I was thinking about him. He was, especially with Sanders probably wanting big money. Eagles definitely not going to pay him that. Like, I don't even expect him. So like Gainwell is in the front seat.
Sure.
Yeah. I can see Gainwell make this sort of ascension, kind of like Tony Pollard did this season, where you're like, it's the same sort of song and dance, where you're like, oh, it's super electric pass catcher. Like, where the hell? It's like, yeah, anyone who's been watching the game knows he's been this guy. It's just not getting the opportunity. And then Pollard all of a sudden gets the opportunity. He's a top 10 back.
It reminds me a lot of Austin Eckler, like 3 or 4
Mhm.
years ago. He was
Mhm.
always playing behind Melvin Gordon. Everybody watching the game is like, this kid's electric. Why isn't he getting the ball more? Why isn't he getting the ball more? And then we saw once Gordon was gone, Eckler was the main guy. You have, top 3 overall running back in fantasy football.
Brian Westbrook.
Brian, love that. Throwback. All right, John, over to you, my friend. What do you got for us for your RB2?
So I have a feeling people are going to get sick of me this offseason bringing this name up, but I don't care. It's James Cook. I think James Cook is a really good buy right now. You're going to have to pay a little more than some of these other, the Benjamins and Kenneth Gainwells, but I really do loved James Cook, the prospect, and my philosophy always is look for good running backs on good offenses, and points tend to follow. Like, that's just kind of how it goes. And so, Austin Eckler a few years ago and stuff like that. And so I think James Cook, I don't think Devin Singletary is going to be a priority to sign. If he does sign, it's going to be a team-friendly deal. Just get him on the roster and stuff like that. And it's going to be, we saw after the bye, the transition kind of was closer to 50-50. James Cook, Devin Singletary, and I think that trend is just going to continue more next season. And that's if Devin Singletary's there. If Devin Singletary's not there, it's James Cook plus, whatever else. The only fear is they were very in on Christian McCaffrey. They were very in on some of these big name running backs. So my only fear is, maybe they sign a Josh Jacobs. Maybe they sign someone this offseason, and then you're probably back in that, I don't know when to start James Cook. He could have a big game. All that stuff can happen. I'm willing to take that risk because I think James Cook is good enough of a player that if they don't sign anyone, hallelujah, you're praising God. And if they do sign someone, you'll still have, maybe a usable piece. And if there's an injury, you'll have, great value. So I think that you can still get James Cook for, not top dollar. And by week 5 next season, it could be like, oh, what were we all thinking? Like we should have read the writing on the wall that James Cook being on the Buffalo Bills was going to be, a touchdown machine or, have plenty of fantasy relevance.
That is very true. Yes, I've been trying to buy him where I can for the right price, but no luck so far. But let me give you some trades here. Would you trade Rashard Bateman for James Cook?
I would. Yes.
Okay. Would you trade your 2023 second-round pick for James Cook?
Probably, yeah. Unless it's I probably would. Yep.
Would you straight up trade away Alvin Kamara for James Cook?
That's super
Tough
close.
one.
That is super close.
Like,
that is like a dynasty check your nuts type of decision. Like, what do you do here? And I probably would do it just because, again, I don't know what the Saints look like in a year. I don't know what's going to happen with, a lot of things going on there. We don't know about the, legal situation. So I think there's a lot of variables with Alvin Kamara that you're taking on. So I would probably make that trade. You could get James Cook plus, I bet, which is
potentially.
Yeah,
I
James
took a hard
Cook
time this season trading away Alvin Kamara. Nobody wanted Alvin Kamara. I don't think anyone still does want Alvin Kamara right now because of the situation, because of the way that he looked in that offense last year.
Yeah.
He needs Sean Payton really bad. He so badly needs Sean Payton. If it were to get cut, like Dan was mentioned before, and he ends up in Denver, he would probably be screaming to get over there if he could. So
Rip Javante.
Yeah. Well, it depends on how Javante's injury comes too. That's going to be interesting to see. So, right, Jibs, your last one of the night, my friend.
I guess. I'll take I don't know what I'll end up trading for him, but the prospects of the Arizona Cardinals, like James Conner's in a situation by himself. If you want to go with the lower hanging fruit, you could probably dabble on Keontae Ingram. But I'm interested in James Conner. There's definitely going to be Colt McCoy just there, and they're going to have to kind of lean on him in the first I wouldn't even say 6 games. Probably it would be even like the first half of the year. He wasn't that bad last year. And the wheels haven't fallen off the wagon yet. So like I don't think he's priced as like he finished in fantasy last year. And if you could get him on your team as like a reliable bench or a flex every week, I think that's a good move for your dynasty team. For short term, not long term.
Of course, yeah. I mean, I think it would be his last year in Arizona. I think he signed a 2-3 year contract with them anyway.
Yeah.
I'm sure the third year is probably voidable, more than likely. I'm
just gonna look that up. I'm just gonna look it up right now for you.
2025.
Look it up for me. 2025. Yeah. All right. So I mean, there's potential there. I mean, Colt McCoy, I would expect to kind of dump the ball off a little bit more than not, and that will definitely help James Conner in that sense. There, obviously, to get more passes, and unless they bring another running back in, I can't see them doing that. I would assume that they're going to stick with James Conner and Ingram more than likely. We'll see. But let's see. Is there any trades that I found out there? Would you trade your 2023 second for James Conner? Is that too much?
I can't even tell you who's in the second round.
Well, I know Dan is very in-depth knowledge on his rookies. Would you trade your 2023 second for James?
I could go 7 rounds deep on this rookie class if you want me
to. we'll get in that. Don't worry. That will be March for us.
That's later on. That's next month's content. Don't spoil it.
Well, I guess I'll be the fool in the room. And yeah, I guess not an early one though.
Of course, yeah, no. I mean, maybe a late second round pick. I mean, there are a lot of good running backs. I probably would. It'd be like more for me. It'd be like in May. If I was going to do it, I would want to wait until May. Wouldn't want to do that trade now because we don't know where these RBs are going to land, and there could be a lot of good RBs that you would want at that time frame. So.
Now, let me ask you a question with Connor. Does it worry you that a lot of his production was touchdown dependent, and then this offense without Kyler Murray? Potentially the first half of the year, him not being able to, I guess, return on that value?
Oh, yeah, I definitely thought that was the first flag in my mind.
Okay.
Like, I'm not expecting him to be like 15 touchdowns or double digits, but I just think like I'm saying, like, I don't think he's going to be like my RB2 on the team. Like, I think like I could pick him out of like the flex or whatever on a given week, or if something happens, God forbid, to your top 2 running backs or something, you have to put him in. I'm not going to be worried. Like I'm starting like your rookie pick from like this year, instead of like that option. More like of a cover your ass for a contender, not like no rebuilder by all means.
I think his value, if it does come this year, it's going to be in the passing game. I don't see Colt McCoy, going deep with the ball. He's like 38 years old. He's not a young sprout anymore. I mean, he's like 36. But he's going to probably dump it off a lot. And we saw when James Conner got a lot of dump off passes, he did provide some fantasy value on a week-to-week basis. The touchdowns obviously help, but I mean, it could be that kind of PPR thing that kind of keeps him alive in fantasy. So
Connor Moore 2023. That's going to be the slogan for the Cardinals. Goff is going to be out that building ASAP.
Oh, God. Can't wait for that. All right. So finally, let's finish this up with mine. It's Kenneth Walker. I'm buying high on Kenneth Walker right now if I can. I didn't pull that up beforehand, but the way I see about Kenneth Walker is I think he has a chance to be the RB1 after the next season. He finished RB6 when Penny went down. He had 6 games over 85 yards. He finished the season with 3 straight 100-yard games. The only thing I didn't like is that, he dealt with some injuries in the middle of the season that kind of slowed his production at times. And seeing only like 2 touchdowns over the final 8 games, definitely don't love to see that, obviously. But he did go through a stretch where he had a touchdown in 6 straight games. So that potential's there. We know that Pete Carroll loves to run the ball, run, Pete. And this offense isn't going to change. It's going to be basically the same offense here still. They might bring another running back in potentially here, but they're probably going to help continue to build this offensive line. Geno Smith's going to be there. The only thing is the passing volume does scare me slightly. So being the RB1 might be a little far-fetched, but him still being a top 10 RB, and I would trade my late first-round pick for him immediately right now and whatever else I need to do. I mean, I'll see if I can pull that up real quick. I should have had it up beforehand, but I am behind here. There is one trade for 2023 first for Kenneth Walker. after 1.4, 1.5, I probably would make that trade. So 1.6 back. Anything after that, I would still make that. If someone wanted to take Javonte Williams off my hands, absolutely. Love to see that. Trying to see. Like a more like realistic buy high trade is DK Metcalf in the 2024 first. I could see myself doing that if I really needed an RB and I don't have a first round pick or I don't have the RB prospects that I could trade for. That's buying high and expecting high return back on Kenneth Walker. I think there's potential there for that because he has potential to handle the ball 300 times over the next 3 seasons probably. And that's kind of why I like him there. I think Seattle is going to continue to be pretty good offense overall, even with, Geno Smith. I think Geno Smith is going to surprise a lot of people still, even after surprising them this year. So I like Kenneth Walker. I think he's a good buy high guy to go get right now before I think his value could skyrocket even more.
Yeah, he's going to be a big one this offseason. I think a lot of people are, like you said, if you can buy into him now, as it gets closer to the season, Seattle doesn't draft a guy, they don't sign a free agent. Like he could be a rocket ship come, August, September, where it's like, holy smokes.
It's going to be on Mars.
Oh, dude, his value is just going to go so high. It's going to go so high. It's crazy. I guess here's a question for you. Would you trade Breece Hall for Kenneth Walker straight up?
Absolutely.
You would? Okay.
Absolutely.
I was just curious.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm looking to contend right now, absolutely. Why would I not? I mean,
yeah, no, I know.
No, he's going to come back, and his ACL injury was clean, but I mean, he's coming off an ACL injury. I don't think I feel like over the years a lot of people have been saying, "Oh, ACL injury should be fine, he'll be back to normal," and it just doesn't seem to be that way as much for like running backs. I feel like they take a little more time to get themselves in the groove again, and I'm assuming the Jets aren't going to want to overwork Breece Hall right away. They do have a guy like Michael Carter who can run. I mean, Zonovan Knight did a little bit at times this season. I just don't see them like saying, all right, Hall, here's your 20 touches a game or 15 to 18 touches a game right away, week 1. I feel like he gets warped into it. I think he could just have a similar career as Kenneth Walker.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. I just bring it up because, if I'm sitting with Breece Hall, that's not a crazy kind of try and lateral move and get out of, an injured Jet. Like, it's not a bad idea. I was just curious what you guys would do.
You guys would all have Walker over Hall?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Absolutely.
It's close.
Interesting.
I think I'd have to do it. Yeah.
Again, it's
I'm the opposite way on those two.
I just feel like with the health right now, like if it was even, they're both healthy and whatnot, I think like Hall was undeniably like electric, like until he got hurt. Like he was like 30 points and like he probably had a 50 burger if he didn't get
right.
So,
I don't
know. I'll go for it.
No, I don't think it's far off. I mean, I like both these guys. I think they're in my top 6 overall right now on my Dynasty rankings. And I don't think they're far off. I think if anything, they're one behind each other or something like that. I mean, I think they're both really, really good running backs.
Yeah.
Hall might be just a little bit more electric, but with his situation currently going right now, I'd kind of want Kenneth Walker because I think he can handle 300 carries, and I don't see any other competition coming in that backfield. I don't think Seattle is going to heavily invest in another running back like that this coming season here. So I think you're going to get a full workload from a guy like Kenneth Walker, where Hall, you're not, and we'll see. I mean, both are going to hopefully have really good careers, but I just have Walker ahead.
Yeah, I think you could make a case for either guy. I was just more curious. I just think that's a fun off-season topic.
No, it's going to be. I think a lot of people are going to ask like, who's the running back you want right now. So it's going to probably back and forth with a lot of people. Obviously, we're not all on one page here, so I mean, it makes sense. So it's going to go any way you look at any podcast. So, but I think we're going to wrap some things up here tonight, guys. This was another fantastic episode, and a lot of good Dynasty buys here right now, and those trades that you can go out there and try in your leagues right now and see how those work. Dan, I'll let you start off first by anything you got working on over at Dynasty Nerds or anything else you want to mention. The floor is yours.
Yeah, so like I said, you can find all my work over at Dynasty Nerds. we do have our Dynasty GM, which I know Steve was getting the trades off of. Nerd Herd membership does get you access to the GM. It gets access to the film room. We have, I think at this point, over 60 or 70 prospects from the 2023 class that have at least 2 or 3 games of all 22 film. And the film's all cut. So you could sit in the toilet and watch a player in 5 minutes, honestly. Not saying I've done that, but if you wanted to, you could. I'm actually, after this show, I'm jumping onto our Nerd Herd Discord server to do a 2-round 2023 rookie mock with landing spots based off a recent mock draft on NFL.com. So we're always doing that sort of stuff this time of year, a lot of rookie mock shows, a lot of rookie analysis shows. I know Steve and myself are working on our Draft Nerds series where we do full 7-round mock drafts for every team in the NFL, all 32 teams. It's one of the biggest projects we do all year, but it's also one of the most fun because you get to learn tackles, edge defenders, corners. You learn every position, and then you struggle to pronounce most of the names. There's some doozies out there. Find me on Twitter at DanT_NFL. I'm always on there. Always DMs are open if you guys want to talk football, want to talk craft beer. I'm always down for a conversation. And once again, thanks so much for having me, guys. I always enjoy appearing on the show. Whenever Steve messages me with an opening, I say yes. I'll always make time for the fantasy coaches.
I appreciate that. Yeah, and I appreciate that. Yes, no, our draft series is going. I actually had the Patriots, John.
Oh, fine. If you need some help, maybe a
first round pick.
He's gonna burn the franchise down.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, careful. Don't
I drafted you guys 7 straight tackles. So
good. We need them. I'll take them all.
And John, my friend, what you got for us?
I got nothing much. I am kind of doing the rounds, making my appearances on other shows. So if you see me on,
you bartending the other day.
I was bartending for Robbie's Super Bowl show. That was fun. He let me do that. It was fun to do some not football content. So this summer, if you see me bouncing around on a bunch of shows, just pop in, say hi. I do want to take a second to just kind of speak to Dynasty Nerds and like this off-season content that they put out, everything they do to make you a better Dynasty player. It's invaluable to me of like, these are the people that you want to, this is the time to jump into Dynasty Nerds, get the pass, do all that stuff. So you have this huge advantage when the season starts. You're way ahead of the game. You know all these players. You're not scrambling in the 4th round of your rookie draft to be like, who am I taking? Like, it's just the work that they put in is amazing. And now is the time to consume it. So big shout out to Dynasty Nerds. I've always been a fan of your work and I will always pump it up.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I do some work there too. So.
Yeah, you too, Coach. Yeah, you too, Steve. Yeah, you too. Yeah.
I have my moments over there, so
you're good. You're good too.
And Coach Jibs.
No, I'll definitely attest to that. Like Dynasty Nerds, my GM or whatever it is. You can see like how your team is. Like you can look at if you're actually like compared to like what they have in their statistics, if your team's like a baller or you're contending, if you're not a pretender, and then you can see like trade values and kind of like make sure your team's not getting like robbed and whatnot, and it kind of just helps you go along the way. Like it's just not just like you just kind of feeling a perceived value. At least you have some statistics and some data to back it up. So definitely look into that. Like the subscriptions service is great, so I think I need to hop back on and resubscribe. So I'm about to use that promo code. What is it, Dan? For
Luna. Luna, Luna. Let's name my dog. Luna will get you 15% off.
Boom. So there you go, guys. Dynasty Nerd subscription. Use promo code Luna. Over and out.
Or promo code Coach if you guys feel likable.
I didn't know.
But either one, it doesn't matter. Go either direction you want as long as you sign up, obviously. It's a great
Put in Coach Luna and you get 30% off.
There's no secret unlock for a bigger discount.
We have all the codes to actually get it. So, but yeah, we use it obviously to help you guys, give you guys great fantasy analysis. And, we're going to continue to give you as much fantasy analysis as we can, obviously, here at the Fantasy Coaches. We'll be back next week. I might not be here, but John and Jibs will be holding down the fort for me as I'm away. And we'll be doing Dynasty Sells next week. We'll get into that on some wide receivers and tight ends. And again, we'll continue to give you guys good fantasy content every Monday and some other times throughout the week when I have time to do another podcast. And we'll be closer and closer to doing free agency frenzies and fun things like that. So until next time, guys, thanks for listening and have a good one.